Hello, this is the presentation of the project and my research. The question was, why do some people think that Martin Luther King Jr. was a communist? In this paper, that question will be answered. Here are some of the reasons why some people thought that he was a communist. One reason was because during the Cold War, everyone, meaning everybody, suspected one another of being a communist. And the US government was scared of the civil rights movement because it might spread some communism for some reason in the US. Another reason was because the economy justice and anti-poverty effect that Martin Luther King Jr. had. So basically, Martin Luther King Jr. supported economic justice for everybody. He focused on people who lived in poverty and he campaigned for that. So he was advocating for poor people. Another reason, because of this primary source. Yeah, because of this picture. Because he went to this communist school. He went this place, so that's why people started suspecting him of being a communist. And on it is written, Martin Luther King Jr. at the communist training school. So some people were like, oh, you guys see, we're telling the truth. He literally went to a communist school. And this postcard, which is named Martin Luther King Jr. at communist school, shows us how Martin Luther King Jr. and the other civil rights leaders were attacked, surprisingly, which was very, very unfair. He was strong enough to endure it. Martin Luther King Jr. is shown in the postcard at Tennessee Highlander Folk School. And also, some people, by mistake, they named it a communist training school. And it started to spread fear about basically the main point, objective of the civil rights movement at the time. And it also undermined Martin Luther King Jr. as well. A lot of these strategies movement at the time, and it also, wait, I can't see very well. A lot of these strategies came to light in a sort of bigotry, I guess, and opposition activists came across it in their chasing of basically equal rights in the USA. And yeah, totally makes sense. Also, another reason why people thought Martin Luther King Jr. was a communist is because also this quote, let me read it. King first studied communism on his own while a student at a school at a theological seminary in 1949. In his 1958 memoir, he reported that although he rejected communism's central tenet, he was sympathetic to Marx's criticism of capitalism, finding the gulf between superfluous wealth and abject poverty that existed in the United States morally wrong. Yeah, so this proves the other point, the one I was talking about, of how he's basically advocating for poor people and stuff. Yeah, another reason people thought he was a communist is because in 1963, King bowed to the wishes of the Kennedy administration and fired SCLC employee Jack after the FBI alleged that he was a communist. King also agreed to cease direct communication with his friend and closest white advisor, Stanley Leverson. Also, he unfortunately resumed contact with him in March 1965. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why some people thought he was a communist. And let me read what's on the bottom. So basically, overall, oh no, I forgot to read something else. The Cold War and Civil Rights Movement, Boston. Johnson talked about how Cold War political affected the view that people had when it came to the civil rights activists. It also shows how school, for example, Highlander School, were called communist school at the time. If anyone visited, for example, like as Martin Luther King did, he was automatically a communist for no reason. And also the FBI was involved for some reason. The FBI was involved, and they were investigating Martin Luther King Jr. because they were against the fact that he was fighting for black people. So that's why they were suspecting him of being a communist. So in conclusion, the FBI and the government were thinking that Martin Luther King Jr. was a communist because he was advocating for African American rights and freedom, and the reason was because they were scared of the spread of communism in the US, and they also thought that he was a threat. They also thought that Martin Luther King Jr. was a threat to them and their racism and how they were treating poor people and black people and people of color in general. So that's the